To set up this problem, it is important to understand one of the fundamental ratios we set up to solve for probability. So the probability that any event will occur, you want to solve the following ratio, just the number of ways that specific event could occur. That's what goes on top. And the bottom is the total number of possible outcomes. So a quick example, what's the probability when you're rolling a dice that you get a 5? Well, there are 6 sides to a dice, so there are 6 possible outcomes. And the number of ways to get a 5 is just 1. There's one side that has a 5 on it, so you get 1 out of 6. Or if you're flipping a coin, what's the chances that you get heads? Well, how many sides to the coin are there? The total number of possible outcomes are 2. How many ways can you get heads? Well, just one of those sides is a head, so it's 1/2 or 1 out of 2. All right, so we're going to do something similar for this problem where we need to figure out the total number of possible outcomes and the number of ways the specific event described could occur. So if we flip back to the problem, sorry about that, flip back to, if I can find it, there we go. Flip back to the problem. I'm going to modify the problem just a little bit so that I don't give the answer all the way away. All right, so in this problem there are 24 women and 20 men. I'm going to just change that to, there's going to be 21 women and we'll have 15 men. Okay, so exactly 10 of them will attend. What's the probability that you would have exactly 5 men and exactly 5 women? So I'll stick with 10 attending. Okay. The first one, we'll do a couple of these so you can see the way it's set up. But let's do the probability of 6 women, and if there's 10 attending, 6 women would leave room for 4 men. All right, so we want to know out of these 36 people, so it's important to notice that if there's 21 women, 15 men, that is a total of 36 people. All right, so how many ways, how many total possible groups of 10 people are there if you have 36 people? And when you're forming a group, that's when you want to do a combination. That's the quick way to count groups. Order isn't specific. If it was, we'd use permutations, but we just want a group of people. So out of 36 people, this is the number of ways you can form a group of 10. 36 combination 10. So that's the total number of possible combinations of people that could show up at this high school reunion. Now, what's the chances that we have 6 women and 4 men show up? Well, how many different ways could you get a group of 6 women? All right, so again, it's a group of 6. So if you had 21 total women, 21 combination 6 shows you all the different ways you could get a group of 6 women. And how many ways could you get a group of 4 men? Well, there's 15 men, and again, we're just forming a group, so we use combinations. 15, and we're choosing 4, combination 4. So what do we do with these two things? Well, we need to multiply them, and it goes back to, that's the fundamental counting principle. If you have a certain number of ways to do, let me do it with an example here. Let's say you had 6 shirts. I think you've seen something like this in the text, and 4 pairs of pants, and let's say just 2 pairs of shoes. How many outfits can you make? Well, you're going to choose one thing from each of these. All right, and you have 6 choices for the shirt, and then multiply that by 4 choices for your pants, and multiply that by 2 choices for your shoes, the fundamental counting principle says there'd be 48 total different outfits. So take the options you have for each choice and multiply them together to get the total number of choices if you're selecting one from each. And that's what we're doing here. We're going to select one group of 6 women and one group of 4 men. And so we have this many total options to choose the 6 women, and multiply that by the number of options we have to choose the 4 men, and that'll give us the total number of options there are to choose a group that has that specific composition of 6 women, 4 men. And so you need to plug these into a calculator or work them out somehow, and then you'll be able to reduce this whole fraction down. And no matter what your problem is that's set up, it's going to be pretty similar when you change the numbers around. Let's say you wanted 7 women and 3 men. Well, you still have 36, choose 10 on the bottom, because that's still the total number of possible groups of size 10. So the bottom's not going to change here. What would change is now we want 7 women. So instead of a 6 here, we're not trying to see how many groups there are of size 6, we're trying to see how many groups there are of size 7. And instead of 4 men, we only have room for 3. So we have 15, choose 3. And again, multiply those two together to get a total number of ways you can get a group of 7 women and 3 men. So for the problem that you have in the homework, just make sure to note that it's 24 women and 20 men, so 44 total people. And they want 5 men and 5 women is what they're looking for. So set it up similarly, but use those different numbers.